What if the man you're supposed to kill ends up saving your life instead? This isn't a Hollywood movie script. This is the incredible true story of Franz Stigler and Charlie Brown, two pilots from opposing sides of World War II, whose lives became forever intertwined in the skies over Germany. December 20th, 1943, U.S. Air Force Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown is on his first combat mission, piloting a B-17 bomber named Ye Old Pub. Their target, an aircraft factory in Bremen, Germany. The mission was supposed to be straightforward, but it quickly turned into a nightmare. Heavy anti-aircraft fire ripped through the sky. The bomber was hit again and again. Its engine sputtered, its instruments shattered, and most of its defensive guns were knocked out. The tail gunner was killed, and 6 other crew members were wounded, including Charlie Brown himself, who was hit by shrapnel in his shoulder. Alone, crippled, and barely flyable, Ye Old Pub fell out of formation, becoming a sitting duck for enemy fighters. And that's when German Luftwaffe ace Franz Stigler appeared. Stigler was a seasoned pilot with 27 victories to his name. One more, and he would earn the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest military honor. He lined up the battered American bomber in his sights, his finger ready on the trigger. This should have been an easy kill, but as he got closer, something stopped him. He could see the terror and devastation inside the B-17. He saw the dead tail gunner, slumped over his machine gun. He saw the wounded crew members, desperately trying to tend to each other's injuries. He saw the pilot, Charlie Brown, struggling to keep the plane in the air. This wasn't a military target anymore. To Stigler, this was a group of men on the brink of death. It was in that moment that Franz Stigler remembered the words of his commanding officer, a man he deeply respected, who had once told him, "If I ever see or hear of you shooting at a man in a parachute, I will shoot you myself." For Stigler, the men in that crippled bomber were no different from a man helpless in a parachute. He couldn't bring himself to shoot them down. His code of honor, his sense of chivalry as a pilot, outweighed his orders and the promise of a medal. So what did he do? Instead of firing, Stigler flew his Messerschmitt Bf 109 alongside the American bomber. The American crew braced for the final, fatal attack, but it never came. Instead, they stared in disbelief as the German pilot looked at them, not with aggression, but with something else. Stigler tried to get Charlie Brown to land his plane in Germany and surrender. When Brown refused, Stigler knew the bomber wouldn't survive the flight back to England if it had to face German anti-aircraft batteries along the coast. So he did the unthinkable. He escorted them. He flew his fighter in formation with the B-17, using his own aircraft as a shield. The German gunners on the ground saw the German fighter and held their fire, assuming the bomber had been captured and was being escorted to a German airfield. Stigler flew with them all the way to the North Sea, giving them a clear path to safety. Once they were over open water, he gave Charlie Brown a final salute and turned back. Charlie Brown and his crew, against all odds, made it back to their base in England. The plane was so badly damaged it was scrapped. When Brown reported what had happened, he was ordered to keep quiet. His superiors didn't want to humanize the enemy. They didn't want stories of German pilots showing mercy. It was an inconvenient truth in a time of total war. So the incident was classified, and for decades, the story remained a secret. Franz Stigler also kept quiet. He knew that if his actions were discovered, he would have been court-martialed and executed for treason. He went back to flying combat missions, but he never spoke of the B-17 he let go. The war ended, and both men returned their civilian lives. Charlie became a businessman in the United States. Franz moved to Canada and became a successful concrete contractor. But for Charlie Brown, the memory of that day never faded. He was haunted by the face of the German pilot who had shown him and his crew an impossible act of mercy. Who was he? Why did he do it? For over 40 years, Charlie searched for him. He wrote letters to aviation magazines. He attended pilot reunions. He combed through military archives. all in the hope of finding the man who saved his life. The search seemed hopeless. How do you find one single soldier from an enemy army decades after a war? But Charlie never gave up. Finally, in 1990, Franz Stigler, now living in Vancouver, saw a newsletter from a pilots association that included a letter from a man named Charlie Brown searching for the German pilot who had saved him and his B-17 crew. Franz knew it was him. He wrote back a simple letter. It began, "Dear Charlie, all these years, I have wondered what happened to that B-17. Did it make it home?" A phone call was arranged. Charlie asked Franz to describe what he saw that day, to confirm it was really him. Franz recounted every detail perfectly: the damage to the plane, the state of the crew, the salute over the North Sea. There was no doubt. Charlie had found his savior. Soon after, they met in person. It was an emotional reunion, two old men who had been enemies in the sky, now embracing as brothers. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were just two human beings connected by an extraordinary moment of compassion. They became the closest of friends, sharing their story with the world. They would often go fishing together, and they spoke on the phone at least once a week until their deaths, just months apart in 2008. But the story doesn't even end there. This is where we get to the twist. After the war, Franz Stigler's family in Germany was facing extreme hardship. Food was scarce, and life was incredibly difficult in the post-war ruins. When Charlie Brown learned about this, he didn't hesitate. He organized and sent care packages filled with food, supplies, and money to Franz's family, helping them survive through those desperate times. The pilot whose life was saved by a German soldier ended up saving that soldier's family in return. It was a perfect, beautiful circle of kindness. So why would Franz Stigler risk his own life, his career, and his reputation for an enemy pilot he was supposed to kill? I think the answer is simple. His humanity was stronger than his orders. He saw fellow men in distress, not an enemy to be destroyed. He believed in a code of honor that transcended national borders and the hatred of war. In a world tearing itself apart, he chose compassion. This story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, our shared humanity can shine through. It shows that courage isn't just about fighting. Sometimes, the greatest courage is choosing not to fight. It's about seeing the person, not the uniform. Franz and Charlie's story teaches us that the connections we make, the empathy we show, can have ripples that last a lifetime and even save lives long after the battle is over. Their friendship is a testament to the idea that we are all more alike than we are different. It challenges us to look beyond labels and divisions and to find the humanity in everyone, even those we might consider our enemy. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, and if you believe that humanity still matters, please share this video with others. Let's spread this incredible message of peace and compassion. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing true stories. See you in the next one.